Hi, everyone. My name is Samira, and I'm going to talk to you today about photography, Instagram, and food. So I'm a researcher by profession, but I started this blog called Alpha Foodie about 2 years ago, and it got now more than 617,000 engaging followers. And I just wanted to show you in this presentation how my photos gained popularity and now is my current job. So this blog opened a lot of opportunities for me. I had the pleasure to meet the royal family. I was featured in many magazines, in Vogue, The Guardian, Telegraph, The Times, and in national Chinese TV. Also, I had the pleasure to work with a lot of brands like Royal Albert, Waitrose, Tesco, and all the everyday brands that we see. So I'm going to show you how I work on my Instagram feed and how I edit my photos. So the topics for this talk is how I think about creating engaging content with Instagram, how I work with brands, and how my ideas for a social media strategy. So Instagram is a visual platform, and it has more than 800 million active users as of March 2018. And recently, has been a lot of updates on Instagram algorithm, and so in order to be noticed, you have to really put a very high engaging content. So maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, when we just put a regular photo, which we think is mediocre photo, it might get engagement. But now with the new changes of the algorithm, it really has to be a very engaging photo, and it has to be standing out from the crowd in order for it to be interesting and engaging, and for it to be seen in general by the algorithm. So by engaging content, what I mean there are many aspects of that. First, you have to create a unique and interesting style to you. That doesn't have, it could be anything. It could be taking photos of landscape photos, food photos, whatever hobby you have. It could be taking photos for socks, or whatever niche or hobby you have your unique style, and that's what would be interesting for you to utilize. I'm going to show you examples of my own experience and how I developed my own style. So this is the type of content I was sharing from 2 years ago, and I was known on Instagram for making smoothie bowl that looks interesting, colorful, and most importantly, more natural. And so if people started making those type of smoothies, and they start tagging me, and brands start contacting me to work with them. So I have this style that is a bit natural. I like to put edible flowers on my food, and that's how, that's kind of my style, and I like to play with it. Also, I like to, just do other engaging content, which is I like to play with my food, as they say. I just have fun with it, but also from an artistic point of view, because I like doing that. Now, when I say engaging content, so let's say you open an Instagram account and you want to be seen. In order to be seen, you have to create engaging, interesting, and useful content that other pages would be wanting to share. And why sharing is important is because when someone shares you a big account, then other accounts see you, other brands see you, and other brands would want to work with you. So these are examples of photos that I was shared. So you can see I love creating rainbow food, and I like encouraging people, my followers, and to eat rainbow colors, because I believe that it's good for the health. So I like the feed to be colorful. So these are examples of photos that were shared heavily in the internet, on Instagram mainly. Then when I say useful content, so with any social media platform, it's interesting to make the content diverse and also as useful as you'd like it to be. So I started with posting about aloe vera and how we use aloe vera. I noticed some of my videos went viral, and lots of people were sharing it. For example, Bored Panda shared it, and it got 13 million views, and also other platform with 21 million views, and this was shared, some of the aloe vera videos shared 73,000 times on Facebook. People like engaging content, they save it, you get seen by brands, and your following increases, and the more you have followers, the more you can make living out of the content that you're creating. When I say also other type of engaging content is actionable content. Ask them something interested, but also have fun with it. So what I do is I tend to engage with my followers. I love hearing their opinion. I do all sorts of polls because I like to know, it could be a random question. For example, in this middle photo here, I asked them, if you're in a deserted island and you have to eat one food for 6 months, what would it be? Just random. But 916 people engaged with the photo. It's just, people like these things. People are nice, and they want to engage with you as long as you engage with them and create something interesting. So these are examples of what I say as engaging content from my point of view. Now I want to show you how I am not a photographer. I've never studied photography, and I started this as a hobby, and now it became my profession. I'm going to show you my basic editing tools and how I create the content. So first of all, I rely mainly on natural light and a regular camera. It's not really an expensive camera, it's just a normal camera, but I mainly love using natural light because I find natural light is the best light to reflect the beauty of food. Now, another thing that I need to point is composition and interesting subject. What do I mean in that? If you created, I'm going to talk about food, but this same concept applies to anything else. If I made a dish that doesn't look in real life appetizing or interesting, I don't think any editing tool or any program is going to make it amazing. It has to look good first for it, for the editing or whatever you're going to use is going to make it look better. But if it's not going to look interesting from the beginning, it's going to be hard to make it stand out. Now I'm going to show you how I edit my photos, and mainly I'm going to show you how I edit them with Lightroom, because that's what I mostly use to my photos. Sometimes I use Photoshop for more creative photos, which I'm going to show you an example as well. So with Lightroom, I'm going to show you a live demo on my phone. So I have Lightroom CC mobile app, and I'm going to show you, hopefully nothing goes wrong. I'm going to go to my phone now and try to start the demo on here. It's really very, very simple and nothing sophisticated. It's not really complicated from my point of view. So this is Lightroom CC. I'm going to open it on here. And I'm going to choose a photo. And I'm going to pick this one. So this is a photo where I took, it's actually an advert. So this was an advert for Clarence, for an egg brand. So I took it raw. I like taking my photos raw because I can play much more with it in terms of editing. And I have a big window next in my kitchen, and so there's a lot of light coming. So sometimes, I could have a lot of highlights in my photo that I need to just a little bit tidy up. So in this app, we have all the editing tools at the bottom here. So the first thing I would do is I want to do the simple adjustment. I'm going to crop it because, in Instagram, I post mostly on Instagram, and Instagram likes the square photo format. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to crop it from here. So I'm clicking crop. I'm going to go to the square format one by one, and here it is. Occasionally I tilt it, but now here it's fine. I'm going to say, OK, great. So this is the first thing I did. Now, the next thing I do is, because I shoot in RAW, I find the colors are muted, so I need them to pop a little bit. And also, some colors seems to be, for example, the strawberry here seems too red, but in reality, it wasn't that red, that bit bright red. So I'm going to also edit that. So I'm going to show you what I do. So first thing, as I showed you, I crop. The second thing is the light. So I'm going to change few things in here. I'm going to adjust. So here you have all the things you need: exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, and blacks. You can play with it and see what happens. But for example, in here in the shadow, I'm going to reduce a bit the shadows, little bit here, and I'm going to increase tiny bit the contrast. But the idea is whatever I'm doing now not necessarily work for another food photo. It's just you play with it and see what works for you. I'm going to reduce the exposure tiny bit. And what I find, my favorite tool in the lighting is this curve, because I feel this curve does the magic that I want. So these curves allow the photo to pop up. So I want the photo to pop up. I want the brights to be brighter, the darks to be darker. And that's what this tone curve does for us. So I want this curve to be a little bit looking like S curve. So I'm going to make it like this, from here and here. So, as you can see, you can play with it as you like, but this is how I like to play with the little things and then see what it did to me. So you can see, can you see the before and the after? But I haven't finished yet. So I'm gonna, as I said to you, I don't really like the strawberries. They're looking too red, but they're not really that red in reality. So I'm gonna go to color, and my favorite thing ever is the mix here, because the mix allows you to go to each particular color that you don't like in a photo and adjust it. So here I'm going to the red, and I can see it's oversaturated. I'm going to reduce it a little bit. Here we go, tiny bit. I'm going to maybe, you can play also with the hue and the luminance as you like. You know, maybe, yeah. So when you're happy with the red, I think, yeah, I played with the saturation, and I like it like this. The next thing I want to do is, you see, these are pancakes, and these were matcha pancakes, and the matcha pancakes supposed to be green, and they were green in real life. Here, they don't look really that green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the yellow color, because I think it's the yellow that is messing a little bit up. I'm going to move the hue down to the green, because they were a bit greener. Here we go. I think now it's giving it, the point is we're not manipulating the photo. What I love to do is I love to edit the photo in a way that reflects how it looks really in real life. I don't want to add a color that didn't exist before. I just want to make sure to correct for the color as it was before. And maybe increase the saturation a little bit on the green. And here we go. So now it's slightly better. Also, what I want to do, maybe, you know, we can play with whatever colors we want, but I can see the green. I go to the green here. I want to increase, like, the kiwi doesn't look as green as it was. I'm going to increase it a little bit. But we need to be careful every time we do a change. Let's say I have a pineapple here, and I was changing the yellow for the matcha, for example. Then we have to be careful did that do anything bad to the pineapple? So you have to be careful what you're doing with everything. But here I know the only green color are the strawberry leaves and the kiwi, and I'm happy with this. It didn't affect much the thing. So now we finished from the color. The other thing I want to show you is look at the cherries. Those cherries, they don't stand out. There's like, you know, I'm gonna do what I love about this app is it allows you to do selective editing. So if I use just the general shadows from the beginning, it's gonna affect the entire photo. But if I want to only adjust certain part of the photo, I can do it handy on an app. I don't have to have my computer. It's simple. Here, I go selective editing. I'm gonna take the brush from here. I'm gonna choose this brush. I'm gonna brush over. You see how I'm brushing over the cherries here? And I'm gonna click on the light, and I'm gonna say, I just want to reduce the shadow. Oops. Sorry, here. So, let's see. It just made them, did I do it the other way around? No. So you see, it made them stand out a little bit. I don't know if you can see it. But you can play with other things, with selective editing, you know. You can go to them and you can change other things. You can change the color of them. You can change selectively. So this way you know that only the reds in the cherries are going to be affected. They're not going to be affected with the strawberry. they're not, so because it is selective, that's what's gonna be affected. So, okay, now, one other thing that I do, the last thing that I do is I go to the detail, because I like to, increase the sharpness a little bit. So I would pop up some details here, and it popped a little bit of the details. I can play with the pink if I want a bit more, but I'm happy with it like this. And this is gonna be the edited version. So this is before, and this is after. But you can, as I said, this is not a recipe for one photo only. Each photo is going to be different, and you play with it as you like. So now I'm going to go back to, you can do the same thing on the, let me switch back to the slides. Oops. Sorry, they are here. So this is, I'm going to quickly show you here. So essentially, the app is handy on the phone, but you can do the same thing on the desktop. And I'm just going to walk you through quickly what I did in the desktop. So this is another photo which I took. And I'm going to use here the Lightroom CC, the desktop. And the first thing is exactly the same steps. So it's just essentially the same as what the phone app did. So here you can crop it. So the first thing I did, crop it. And the second thing is I'm going to adjust the colors. So I increased the contrast a little bit. I reduced the highlights because I have a window, and the window tends to bring the top area a bit brighter than the bottom area. And here I notice, so then I go to the color. And if you notice in this photo, the orange, the papaya, is not really like this in real life. It was real orange. But this, because I'm shooting in RAW, and because of the white balance, it's not giving it justice. So I want that orange to be looking really, really orange, like the real orange color of the papaya. So what I did is I went to the orange, and then I reduced the luminance, I increased saturation, and I didn't touch the hue. And this way, it made it actually made it how it looked like in real life. Yeah, again, here, the selective editing tool that I showed you before is great, because I'm going to show you back this image. I adjusted already the shadow for the overall image, but you can see at the bottom part of the picture where there's the pineapple and the coconut, there are a lot more shadows than the upper part of the image. And I just want to fix those specific ones, not overall image. So that's why I use the selective editing brush. And then I brushed over this region in order, to bring it back up. And this is the edited, the original version versus the edited version of the photo. Very simple steps that anyone could use. Okay, so then I'll show you one other quick example using Photoshop. And this was a campaign for Avocados. So this is an avocado growing company. They wanted me to take this project on, and they wanted me to take a photo of a fridge full of avocados. But that will cost a lot of money, and so I thought I'm going to ask the help of Photoshop, and that's what I did. So we only bought about 8 or 9 avocados, and what I did is the most important element in this is to make sure the tripod is fixed. So if the tripod is fixed and you're not moving, you're only moving the shelves, and the light settings is the same as well. So I put the first photo that I took is the avocados in the drawer. Then I moved them up. I moved them to the 3rd shelf, to the 4th shelf, 5th shelf, put them on the side, and I made the photo. And the client was super happy. They paid, they were happy with the content that I made for them. And without Photoshop, I wouldn't be able to do this. Yeah, so this is what it's really easy. You just take the 5 photos and combine them in Photoshop, and you can just try. And when I shared this on my social media, nobody suspected that it was Photoshop. I mean, if I should Photoshop something, I would say, because I try to make everything as real as possible. But this was a project for a client, and yeah, I was happy. The client was happy, and it was easy to do in Photoshop. But you can use the same principle to do other types of photos. Now, the last thing that I want to discuss now is working with brands. So because I'm on social media with some following, you get approached by a lot of brands. Lots of brands want to contact you to work with you and try to, convince you to do campaigns with them. The tips I will give for that is that you might be you should select only brands that you're really comfortable to work with, that you really use in real life. If there is a brand that you would never actually use in real life contacted you, doesn't matter how much money they're going to offer you, I'm highly against working for that. So the most important thing is it's really amazing, like this opportunity that influencers have, but as long as you're true to yourself and to your following, it's very important to only work with things that you actually use in real life, regardless of Now, the other thing is you also, when you create contents for brands, you should make sure that the content that you create for the brands is as nice, as engaging as the content that you would put in yourself. So don't think because it's an advert, I should just quickly just do a random job. That's not actually how you build your engagement, your relationship with the brands, and your following as well. Other thing for social media strategy is obviously the use of hashtags. So if I am posting something about cheese, I would use the hashtags related to cheese. I wouldn't use hashtag nature or beautiful for a cheese plate. It's food-related item. I would just use that. So it's always not the quality, but not the quantity, the quality. Another thing is interactions with the followers. So when you post, if you have a social media account and you want to grow your following and build a nice relationship with the audience you have, is you do have to engage with them. So when you don't post a photo and just disappear, but post a photo and people are, as I said, they're really amazing and nice, and they will engage with you. They will comment on your photo. Just comment back. It's regardless of what your hobby is and what your social media account is. It's nice if someone plays you a compliment to be kind back and comment back, because that will encourage them to comment over and over again, and that's building a relationship with the audience. Another thing is, as you grow in social media, you're going to be, some people will post negative comments. So my approach to that is just avoid replying to negative comments. People, the more popular they become, the more haters they'll have, but we're not going to look at the negative things. We're just going to not let us affect us. They did a negative comment for whatever reason they have in their life. We're not going to engage with that or let it affect us at all. So that's my advice on that. The other thing is, when you're creating content on social media, so if a certain picture did really well, that doesn't mean you have to make sure every picture is similar to that photo, but you should know your audience. So if your audience liking a certain content, you should do more of that content every now and then if you want to have this as a business in the future, if you want to generate income from your photos and from your social media account. So, and the best thing is you should be guided by your own analytics, but that doesn't mean that you should also post things that you like, because otherwise it will really be boring thing to only post things that the audience like. You should be mixing it up, but if you want to keep growing your account, keep your audience happy, you should also post things that they will also like, because that way as your account grows, the more, you will have more audience, you have more brands contacting you, you will be more seen on social media. Other thing that followers like is the giveaways. Everybody loves free stuff, so you can collaborate with a certain brand. Let's say travel agency that you can contact them or something, arrange a giveaway, someone to fly to Paris, for example. You can contact Eurostar, they always do giveaways. So this is the followers, you give them back something. That means, you're not paying for the ticket, but you're just making a collaboration with a travel agency. It could be a camera company as well, or in my case, like Vitamix or blender companies or something like that. Yeah, now, The other thing is because these days there's a lot of income comes from advertisements online, and so people get eluded into buying followers, and it's really easy to detect who bought followers and who didn't bought followers. There are websites that detect who actually grew in overnight or something, and so don't be ever, and it will show in the engagement, because you see someone having 1 million followers and they have only 500 likes or 10 comments, then definitely they bought. Why would you want to buy followers? Because if you're trying to see how your content is performing and whether your audience is actually genuinely liking your content, the only thing to do is never to buy these things, because the only people who will engage with it are real people, not robots. So I avoid anything like that. Now, and the most important thing is whatever content you're creating, whether it is street photography, travel photography, or landscape, or anything you have hobby. It could be knitting. I mean, you see there are some knitting accounts that are amazing and they have massive followings. I'm just saying, whatever hobby you have, it's really cool to just start sharing your photos and have fun with it. And so that's where the magic happens.